So Mike Preisner is, on top of being Abby Martin's husband, he is an Iraq War veteran. And he completely and utterly had an enlightenment moment and really was awakened to the lie and the harm and the damage that was done by the Iraq War. And so he's a really committed anti-war activist. So George W. Bush is going around doing his little rehabilitation tour, and he went to L.A. Well, Mike Preisner, excuse me. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. I think it's Preisner. He protested it and interrupted it. And this is a really interesting moment. Take a look and then we'll discuss.
Was around too. And
Mr. Bush, when are you going to apologize for the million Iraqis that are dead because you lied? You lied about weapons of mass destruction. You lied about connections to 9/11. You lied about Iraq being a threat. You sent me to Iraq. You sent me to Iraq in 2003. My friends are dead. Joshua Castile. You killed people. You lied. You lied about WMD. A million Iraqis are dead because you lied. My friends are dead because you lied. You need to apologize. Apologize. You need to apologize. Apologize. Apologize.
Are you with this gentleman? No.
Health insurance and homes.
What just happened?
I'm wondering if they're going to arrest me, but
What just happened?
I just disrupted George Bush speaking.
What's more,
They dragged me out. I guess the cops are not after me, so I guess they're not arresting
running,
me.
but yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I did was I tried to read the names of friends of mine who died after going to Iraq and then died of injuries they came home with. The names of Iraqis who were killed by the U.S. occupation in the Nisour Square massacre, Haditha, those you saw in the collateral murder video. I tried to read the names, but the event runners immediately grabbed the list and tore it up. But I was able to shut it down for a little while, right when Bush was getting into his first little cheesy story about his life and all that, trying to be funny. But so hopefully I shook him and set a tone for the event. The crowd was very mad. Typical crowd you would expect for George W. Bush, but they seem to not be expecting it at all. And here we are. So tried not to give them a little moment of peace because no one else gets it who is touched by the war.
Wow. George W. Bush shouldn't be able to go a single place in public without that happening. Because it's not even close. It's not a close call. It's not up in the air. It's not a question. George W. Bush is a war criminal. He's a war criminal. So is Dick Cheney. So is Donald Rumsfeld. So are all the thought leader neocons who are the architects of the war like Bill Kristol, David Frum. They're all terrible. And they all really should be in The Hague. They violated the Geneva Convention. They violated the Nuremberg Tribunal. They implemented a torture regime. There was Abu Ghraib. There was Guantanamo Bay. Shredded the Constitution. Shredded due process. Shredded habeas corpus. Illegally and offensively invaded a country that did not attack us. Saddam Hussein did not work with Osama bin Laden. There was no connection between the two of them. Saddam Hussein was not a threat to the United States of America. They lied relentlessly to get us into that war, tried to connect Saddam Hussein to Osama bin Laden. And then when that fell apart, they just moved the goalpost to, well, he's a really bad dictator. He's a bad dictator who was at the height of his atrocities when we were arming him and backing him. When he was massacring the Kurds, when he was doing terrible things. That's when we were backing him. That's when he was our ally. At the very least, now, you know, the estimates vary widely as to how many Iraqi civilians died. At the absolute minimum, it's 200,000 innocent Iraqi civilians who died. At minimum, by 2053, it's $6 or $7 trillion, which will be wasted in the war in Iraq. The military-industrial complex got wealthy. They ran out the back door with all the money. There was greed. There was profiteering. There was shoddy work on the military bases. There were these private contractors. They got no bid contracts. They were paid a phenomenal amount of money, and then they did shoddy wiring at some of our bases, and some of our troops were electrocuted to death while taking showers. They would sell these 6-packs of Coke for like $30, $40. It was just all profiteering, price gouging the American taxpayer. So they shook down the American taxpayer. We illegally invaded a country. We massacred civilians. We did torture to cover it up. And now this guy's going around, and he's not only does he have a high approval rating, or excuse me, I actually don't know if he has a high approval rating among Republicans anymore, but even among Democrats now, he has a decent approval rating. When he left office, he had an approval rating in the 20s. It was like 29% or 22% or something crazy like that. There's a reason why that was the case. He's a war criminal. And, by the way, his policies helped crash the economy along with Bill Clinton. Deregulation, tax cuts for the rich. Clinton did the deregulation. He didn't do the tax cuts for the rich. Bush did deregulation and tax cuts for the rich. So credit to Mike there. That was really good. I want him to have to think about this stuff, face the reality, and I'll flat out advocate for it. Anywhere George W. Bush goes, somebody should be there to say these exact same things, to call him a war criminal, to tell him to apologize, to try to read the names of the civilians who died. He brought up the Nisour Square massacre there, and the civilians who died in that. That was carried out by Blackwater, private defense contractor. By the way, had a Christian fundamentalist who was at the top of that organization. Private mercenary army, not beholden to international law. And they went in there and they massacred civilians in the middle of a busy public square. Total war criminal. Don't buy the rehabilitation program that's currently going on. It's total nonsense. And I hope more people do what Mike Preisner did here, because he's right. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.